What a beautiful evening it is in the Curry Kingdom. The stars are shining in the sky. The fields are filled with grain. It is peaceful, surreal. Nothing could harm this evening. Like I said, absolutely nothing could possibly ruin this day. Greetings once again, my noble lords and ladies on the YouTube. It is I, Sir Memphis, noble knight errant of the Curry Kingdom, welcoming you once more to the 100 days of Yu-Gi-Oh! Upon which every day for 100 days we shall duel the different deck every single day. Today is the 4th day of Yoden Highlander week, upon which every deck that we shall be using shall have one card of each copy. Therefore, our deck is filled with many different cards, many different stratagems to confound and confuse our opponent. But today is not that sort of day. Today is a deck that I personally built. It is in the style of the Curry Kingdom, for it is not about stopping the opponent. It is not about making insufferably long combinations of cards. No, it's about making proud, noble warriors and attacking my opponent. That is what our deck is today. Lord Memphis did recommend that I put in some of these more modern sort of cards from your world, but for the most part, these are cards that I would use. Very much so. So we have our deck here today with our warrior monsters who shall boldly stride forth and smite our enemies. That is what this deck is all about. So we have ourselves our deck with many different warriors. We have proud warriors, warriors who appear that they need a haircut, and of course we have the Cure for the Legend, very powerful monster from my own world, and I look forward to using it. So we shall be heading forth today into our day of duels and jousts here on Yoden Yugioh Pro, showing the combos and the wombos, as they say, what we shall and shall not be doing, and having ourselves the most splendid evening. So, without further ado, don't forget to hit the buttons and whatever it is that Lord Memphis wishes people to do. The like buttons, or like hitting the buttons. Do that. And regardless, let us go forth and show off what this deck can do. It is time for adventure! Verily, my lords and ladies, I welcome you to the first duel of the day. Another day and another joust, as we say. We do aim to go second, for warriors need to attack. In order to attack, we must go second. What do we have for an opening hand? It's certainly a hand with many cards in it. I also have this great warrior card here. A very, very nice card indeed. Let's see here. An interesting thing we've got here. Let us activate our heroic call spell. This allows me to summon forth a warrior from our hand. Very straightforward indeed. For our morning star here is a noble warrior, and will search us out another monster spell. See, in the Curry Kingdom, there's not as much of what you see in your world's Yu-Gi-Oh! There is some swarming of monsters, but typically 2 or 3. That sort of thing. It doesn't get too much more than that. Let's see. I will get myself mine Assault Halberd monster. Yes. I find that this will be quite acceptable. But having both of these on my board will allow me to not only do much damage to my opponent, but thanks to mine Halberd, I will also get to search a card. Very well. That's what you want to do in Yoden Highlander format. Search cards. As for we'll be searching... 2 cards indeed. I shall search for the heroic chance spell for later. Perchance that I happen to need it. So we shall search for to damage our opponent more with a Morning Star. And that should do about what we need to do. But before we endeth our turn, let us summon forth one of our Exceed monsters. And there's many monsters that we could summon forth here. But because we're going first, let us summon forth this mounted warrior. We shall summon forth the heroic champion Gandaiva. I'm going to say that name is Gandaiva, indeed. We shall summon forth this monster. We shall endeth our turn. So now it is up to our opponent. Let us see what they may do. We shall see. Our monster can stop my opponent to a degree if they summon level 4 or lower monsters. If they summon higher monsters, well, there's nothing we do about that, but we'll see where it goes. Alright. The urgent schedule card. Urgently arriving with whatever that is. So this will summon forth high-level machine monsters, I see. Let's see. I shall wait a moment. I shall. For Gandiva can destroy multiple monsters, potentially. I do recognize this border. This is those, pendulum cards. I have a couple of those myself, for that matter. So I do know that that allows him to summon forth multiple creatures. So we'll see where this goes. Although now he's summoned forth whatever this is. And my opponent surrenders! Well, that's unfortunate. I was just getting into the swing of things. I guess they realized that they didn't stand a chance against such a powerful mounted adversary. But that is something that happens on occasion. Yes, let us go into the second duel. Perhaps we will have time for a fourth, considering how short that was. We shall see. Let us go for the second opponent of the day. Then, my lords and ladies, the second duel of the day. Let us hope that my opponent this time will not make so many critical failures. What do we have for our opening hand? My old friend, Spell Striker. This monster has laid low quite a few enemies over the years, and he shall do so again. What is my opponent going to do? Setting cards. Makes sense, of course. Does make sense indeed. Let's see, what do we have? I do have my Empowerment Field spell. It is quite powerful. Unfortunately, I just drew into that. But I can make this work either way. So we shall activate the Empowerment spell. With it, I might discard one of mine cards in order to summon forth one of mine Empowered Warriors. Do not worry, this is not a dragon. He just looks like a dragon because he's wearing its skin. Quite fashionable indeed. We shall summon forth our two dragon-looking monster cards. They will all be gaining a boost of attack power. All warriors shall be getting an attack power boost thanks to Minefield spell. And now, let us boldly stride forth by banishing a spell. I might summon forth one of my ace monsters, the Spell Striker. Very good. And that is all we really need to do right now. We shall attack with all of our monsters. Sadly, none of them are the Assault Halberd. I will not be getting to search more cards, but that's just fine. We're going to do forth all the damage possible, attacking with our two warriors, and then the Spell Striker will strike them down. That is what we need to see happen all of the time, of course. That is what Spell Striker does. I have defeated many, many fine enemies using the Spell Striker card. No one expects it, of course. No one does. No one expects such power in such a small package indeed. Let's see. So now that I've done all of that, I suppose I don't need to do anything else. I think I will abide. I think that will do for now. I don't need to overdo it. As I said, with the current kingdom, we don't swarm too many cards. A few is all we need. What is this? The Millennium Anchor? What on earth is that? Alright. So you have this card. The 5 pieces of Exodia. That doesn't look good. What does this do? It will gain attacking to his life points. Well, fortunately, they have very few of those left, so that's a good thing. Although, unfortunately, this does negate spells and traps. I will activate Mind Trap, just to activate it. I don't think it'll matter too much, but I'll activate it anyway. Very well. I shall destroy Mind Armory Call Trap. I was planning to use that to search out one of my equip spells. For a warrior needs his sword, of course. And we have many fine swords we can get. And now this is going to do something else. Set Exodia spell or... Alright. Very well. Let me think about this. Let me think about that. I shall summon forth mine heroic challenger, the Extra Sword. Sometimes a knight needs their extra sword, of course. Now we shall begin to exceed summon. What we will summon forth is a question. Let me think on that. I need to lay this creature low. Not going to be easy. I suppose we will attempt this one. We shall summon forth the Utopia Double Monster. Quite the potent card indeed, but it allows me to search out the double or nothing spell. Or rather, it was going to. I tried to make the other effect. Yes. See, the fact that it was activated just now was actually extra swords to give me an attack boost. Unfortunately, my opponents didn't realize that, and now they're going to pay for it. Or not. Forbidden Droplet. I see. Well, that is rather unfortunate. Well, one must have a backup plan, of course. Of course one must have a backup plan. So we shall summon forth Utopia the Lightning, and have him destroy my opponent's monsters. So we shall attack the Exodia Incarnate, and thanks to my monster's powers, my opponent can do naught but stand back and watch as their monster is laid low. Very good. And we shall attack our opponent directly with our Spell Striker, as that is what he is meant to do. Very good. So now if my opponent doth summon this monster again, it'll be too weak to do him any good. Alright. And with that, we shall end our turn for now. Let's see what my opponents can do now. But now, my Spell Striker on the board is preventing my opponent from having any real chance of victory. What on earth is this? The Ultimate Forbidden Lord. Is that Satan? Doesn't look... Well, he does have horns. Maybe. I expected more fire, but... Whatever. You have Exodius, the Ultimate Forbidden Lord. What does it do? Declares an attack, sends a monster to the grave. 1,000 attack for every normal monster in the graveyard. I see. Quite the tricky creature. Fortunately, I will take no damage, however. Spell Striker prevents me from taking any form of damage when it battles. Well, Spell Striker is a noble soul, of course. He would never allow his fellow man, his fellow knight, to be taking damage, and, I think they sent the wrong card. You have normal monsters, you foolish fool! Well, that was rather comical, wasn't it? What were you trying to send? What is this? This is not a normal monster. I know what those look like, you know. They have the yellowish white border. That is what those are. This is the more burnt orange border. Therefore, it is not a normal monster. Regardless, let's go ahead for our third duel of the day. At the speed of this, we shall be getting as many wins as we wish. So let us go for a third, a fourth, possibly even a fifth duel. We shall see. Very lords and ladies, the third duel of the days. Thus far, my opponents have not been able to stand up to our power whatsoever. Granted, we haven't seen our strongest creatures yet either. Although Spell Striker is my personal favorite, it's not our strongest creature. Not today. What do we have for our opening hand here? Well, Spell Striker is back, that is true. One of our stronger monsters, though, we do have the immortal Gearfried. He is quite powerful indeed. What is this? Tindangle... How do you pronounce that name? Jeherl? Jeherl? That's a rather odd name. And you summoned a toddler. Who sends babies to fight in wars? That's ridiculous. Regardless, what is this? Alright, some sort of devilry is afoot, for certain. For certain, that's what this is. Let's see what we have for our hand. We shall start forth with our Onomata Pyra spell. By sending one of our monsters from our hand to the grave, I might search forth two more monsters. We shall be searching for the Utopic monster and one of the Gigaga monsters. In this case, I shall get... it doesn't really matter that much, but I'll get this one. It doesn't really matter too much. More importantly, my Onomata monster will allow me to summon forth more monsters from my hand. I will not be equipping anything just yet. Soon, though. Soon. That is the ultimate goal of this deck, is summon forth mighty warriors, and then play equip spells. You shall also summon forth our friend, the Morning Star. Like so. The Morning Star, of course, will search us out more cards. Let me think. What do I want in this particular situation? Well, considering I have so many warriors upon my board, I should be getting the Heroic Call spell. But while that will stop my monster from having its effects, it will, at the same time, allow me to summon out just more creatures. Let's see. We'll summon out this monster. Here we go. We'll summon forth the Noble Knight Yugioh, and we shall be going into our Exceed summons. We shall summon for, let me think. Probably this monster, considering how many monsters my opponent has. Definitely this one. You shall summon forth this creature. This is the Twins of the Eclipse. By detaching material, this monster can attack twice this turn. That's what we want to do. So detach that, and we need to summon someone else as well. In this situation, I would love to go for my General, where I can equip my large monster to it to make him stronger. But considering what my opponent has, I don't think that's quite the right call here. Let us go for Comics Hero King Arthur. Why not? You shall summon forth this mighty warrior. We're going to go ahead and equip our monsters to our monsters. So, let's go ahead and equip one to one and one to the other. That way it's fair. We don't need to give everything to one monster. That'd be silly. So, Oliver here will equip onto Arthur as well. There we go. And, of course, well, we'll save Spell Striker for now. There's not much point in wasting him here. Let us attack our opponent's monsters. And this will activate their effects, I suppose. They are flip monsters. This will add a monster to hand or send it to the grave. Fascinating. Very well. And then this will do that. What does this one do? This adds another card. Very well. It seems that my opponent is setting up all of his cards in order to make their play next turn, I would assume. We shall attack the toddler. Back to the daycare with you. Not that this is the daycare, this is the graveyard. Oh? Oh yes, your flip effect, of course. Sending a fiend from the deck to the grave, I see. These are fiends, so I suppose we'll be sending another one of these Tindangle monsters. Although I still don't know how you pronounce that name. I'm going to pretend to try. Very well. What will you send to thy graveyard? That is the operative question, isn't it? I assume it's something powerful. That doesn't look like any hound I've ever seen in my life, but alright. You say so. Anyway, I'll destroy this last monster, which will add him another card. Regrettably, I wasn't able to do any damage. I could have, with my Spell Striker, of course, but I feel like I should save this for now. We shall save it for when we need it more. Very well. We shall end our turn there. Our setup is quite good. I can't be destroyed by card effects. I can't be targeted by card effects. I think this is well and good. We shall end our turn and see where this goes. Oh, now we're good. Now I just need one of my equip spells. That will be quite useful, because then I can summon forth my Gearfried. He'll then be able to be summoned out to my board and attack my opponent, equipping their monsters to himself. Much like some noble knights I've known in the past, taking the spoils of war as their trophies. That is what they do. Taking the weapons of the dead is rather distasteful, but sometimes you must do what you have to do. So, this is going to discard a card, summoning itself, yes, and you sent 2 cards, another demonic something, some kind of worm, and was that another infant? It was another infant. Ah, I see. Very well. My opponent does seem to have quite a few cards that are going to activate all at once. I think perhaps we might have an actual back and forth here. I think this time my opponent might actually have a spine, so very good, very good. So now the Hound is here. What does the Hound do? Targets a face-up monster. This card gains attack equal to that monster's original attack, and changes that monster face down. That is rather difficult. Then again, it's in defense mode. I would assume that my opponent has some means of putting this face up. Ah, indeed. There it is. The World Legacy's pawns. Fascinating. Yes. Alright, so they have their Hound in attack mode. That will allow him to target my monster, regrettably, and flip it face down. But that's alright. That is quite alright indeed. I mean, it is a 5,000 point monster, which would worry some people, but not me. For my foolish opponent attacked the wrong monster. But by detaching a material, my author will not be destroyed, and my opponent will take damage. Indeed. Also, Arthur will get stronger. Not strong enough for this, but closer. Closer. Very well, let's see here. Alright, the game is now officially afoot. I'm going to have to think about some way to get rid of this. Let's see. The War Reinforcement of Arms sounds like an excellent card to have right now. Let's go ahead and activate that. Let's see. We will need to add ourselves a monster. Which monster is the good question? If only I had one of these monsters that could send equipped spells from my deck to the grave. Potentially. I shall search for the courageous Crimson Chevalier Bradamante. That ought to be quite useful. Let's see. I shall flip summon. Mine Twins of the Eclipse once more. And I shall use his effect once more, just in case I need it. Very good. So, we shall activate our courageous Crimson Chevalier. Sending that to the graveyard. And with that, I need to equip a card onto my monster. Let me think about this. I don't have quite the link monsters for this. So, instead, let's not worry about that. Let's equip onto our monster another card. The Magnum Shield, perhaps. Would that be enough? It's not quite enough damage. Or I could go for Clarence. You know what? Why not? Let's go for Clarence. Yield Clarence, for I can use this card to allow Arthur to attack my opponent directly. I shall also equip him with Ogier, because why not? Very good. So in the good spirit of our friend Sky Striker, or Spell Striker, I don't know why I said Sky Striker, this is Spell Striker. He flies through the sky, that's why. But we shall strike our opponent, do quite a bit of damage, let's see. If I attack these, he'll just do more things. Then again, letting my opponent keep monsters on the board seems like a poor idea, regardless of that. So I shall strike his monsters down regardless. True, he will get his cards out, but that's fine. My monster is quite protected. He'll live another turn at the very least. If I could just draw into one of my other equipped spells. If I could get the Lightning Blade. That would be perfect right now. I can make my Arthur even stronger. Or the Magnum Shield. One or the other. One or the other would be perfect. Because then I can make Arthur even stronger. Alright. I just strike down another. That's a difficult decision because these essentially do more or less the same thing. This sends a monster, this also sends a monster. The only difference is this can search it to the hand. And therefore, I will strike the other toddler. You know? Toddlers, again, do not belong on the battlefield. So, back to the graveyard with you. Back to the graveyard. Alright. I'm quite settled for now. I still have my defenses upon Arthur. He will last another turn at the very least. Let's see. 34. It's just not strong enough. If I can just get one equip spell, it doesn't matter which one. They all make my monsters stronger. So if I can get any of them, I would be prepared to take my opponent down. Very well. You shall use your trap once more on your monster. Flipping it face up to take out another one of these flip monsters. Once I've dealt with your boss monster, it will be all over for you. All over indeed. Very well. What on earth was that? Trinity? Trinity? This is some sort of abhorrent amalgamation of wrongness. That's what that is. Alright. Well, I don't agree with the card you're summoning, but you did get to search it. So, do as you do. Do as you do. Let's see what this is. Spirit of the Far Wind, adding a flip monster from the... Well, that makes perfect sense. This entire deck seems to be about flip monsters, including he whose name I will not try to pronounce. Very well. I assume you're going to use that effect again. You have another toddler. I swear I got rid of them all. And he might have another one. Who knows? With our deck, of course, every card is at 1, so I always know when we've used up our cards. I always know when the cards have been used up. Let's see. This card, not equipped with the quick cards. Strawbat Battle. Special this card. I suppose Bradamante... perhaps that would have worked as well. I could have had Bradamante attack this. Well, I don't have enough life points to do that, I don't think. No, I would have potentially survived that. I could have had Bradamante attack, and then I could have taken his monster. Bit too high risk, high reward for this situation. It's not like there's any sort of, stakes on this duel. If there were, I would have considered such a notion. But there isn't. So I don't need to worry about such a thing. There's no need to worry about such things. So now the World Legacy's pawns again. Quite a versatile card. Can it put them face down as well? Okay, he needs a crawler monster. Whatever that is. You can just keep flipping his monsters face up whenever he pleases. Very well. Getting another one of these Tindangle cards. And now you've got an... That's no angel I've ever seen. And I've seen one or two. Trust me, I've seen them. I have, for certain. For certain. I served King Karima and the Lord above. You see them all the time. What on earth? No! The Underworld Goddess! Well, that is rather unfortunate indeed. Fortunate in the sense that now they don't have the Hound. Unfortunate in the fact that that got rid of all my cards. Well, I'm glad that I held on to my Spell Striker, though, so that's good. That I am glad that I did. So now what is going to happen? You've summoned out some sort of weird Tekahedron. Interestingly enough. What does it do? Doesn't do much. Oh, hey, Gil for the Legend. If I had more equipped spells, that would have been the perfect time for you, my friend. But unfortunately, I don't. But I shall summon forth the Immortal Gearfried here. He does have the ability to equip my opponent's monsters to himself. But while we're waiting for that, let's go ahead and equip our monsters to him. Let's see here. Equipping. Let's see. Unaffected by cards unless they target. Does this target? It does not. This might be a little more difficult than I'd like to admit. I might have to attack somebody else first. This is quite possible. But regardless of that... Let's see. Target Moss 3. Let's see. Unfortunately, I can't use my Heroic Call spell at the moment. But that's quite alright. Let's summon forth our Spell Striker. And we shall begin laying into our opponent. So, we shall attack into... this one. Right. This will allow me to then use the effect of my monster, which I shall not be negating, because negating oneself is silly. But I will equip the base gardener to myself, making my monster stronger. Very good. That way I can get rid of this monster. Yet his effect will activate yet again. Of course, because that's what it does. But now I'm stronger than the Underworld Goddess. And apparently they're all out of cards to search out with this. So we're in a very good position here. Next turn, I will rid ourselves of the Underworld Goddess in place of the one god above. What is this? When you take damage from an opponent's attacking monster. My Spell Striker! You fiend! What is this? 2000 attacking with 3 more Tindangles with different names on the grave, including Base Gardener. Ha ha! It's on my monster right now. Alright. Very good indeed. Very good. So this does nothing then. 500 attack for every Tindangle it points to, which it points to nothing. Very good. Alright. I knew stealing this monster was a good idea. I just had this feeling. It was too out of place. It's not a flip monster, therefore it must have had some other purpose. And clearly, it was for this creature. Alright. So now what can my opponent do? For next turn, I will be stealing this monster as I lay into that monster. That is the plan, after all. What are you doing now? Let's see. Does this do anything else? You can remove this card from the game in order to summon forth more monsters from their grave. That is quite the potent effect indeed. Quite the potent effect indeed. We shall see. My Phoenix Gearfree does have another ability. It can remove one of my equipped spells to destroy and negate a card. And this works very well with the Infernoble Knights. Well, they can simply come back. I'm not giving him this back though. This I'm keeping. This is mine now. I don't want him to have it because then this will become stronger. But what is my opponent doing now? Perhaps they're running out of steam? Possible. Their deck does move rather quickly. I can be slow and methodical about it, however. Therefore, I am able to, assess the situation better. My opponent, well, they're running out of cards at this point. They certainly still have plenty of a deck. They still have most of their extra deck. This is actually the second card they've summoned from it. There we go. What on earth is this? Topologic Zeraboros. Well, thankfully it's smaller than I am. But what does it do? Monster summoned to a zone this card points to. While this monster is on the field, banish all cards on the field. I see. That is quite the conundrum. Now what are you going to do? I'm going to flip monster from the hand of the grave. Then it is the opponent's battle phase and the battle phase. I suppose that's fine, actually. Because he's attempting to summon a monster to this zone to activate the effect of this creature, but I'll simply negate the dragon-looking thing. I think this is a dragon. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. It doesn't quite look like a dragon. It looks like some sort of giant something. I'm actually sure what it's supposed to be. It's actually rather difficult to tell. Let's see. Indeed. So I shall be negating your card now, if you don't mind. And I shall be removing... I can only get rid of one card. I suppose... What is more important right now? Well, we'll find out. Regardless, that'll be the end of your giant monster. We'll get back that monster, though. But that's fine, I think. I still can't be destroyed by cards, and next turn I'll get back Oliver. And then I'll be untargetable once more. So, your plans, I say, have failed. Granted, you have the Hound back, but I can simply negate him too. Very good, very good. Alright, I would say that we're in a very, very good position here. That set card might be a problem, but you never know. It might just be another copy of that other trap he used. Let's see here. Dragonox, indeed. Alright. You're going to flip your monster right now. Actually, now that I think about it... Let's see. What does this do again? Then change that monster face down. But I can simply flip it face up, can I not? Granted, it'll get back the base guard, but I don't think this is a big problem. I can simply flip my own monster. Aha! And then I shall equip my monsters back to my monster. Very good. Very good indeed. We shall equip our cards back upon our monster. I shall be not negating myself, not just yet. Not today. Let's see. Very good. I shall summon forth Dragonox, the empowered warrior. I apologize, Lord Guilford, but I'm needing you to be sent to the graveyard for now. I need other things. In this case, I can search back many different cards. But of course... which card do I want? Destroy my battle. Have this card. Equip that monster. This is one of mine tuners. That is true. Where is mine extra deck? Let's see here. One moment. There it is. I just went to check my cards real quick. Let's see. This would get me any warrior I wish. This would get me kind of have an equip spell equipped. For now, I'll keep things simple. I shall summon forth back my Spell Striker. He does go face down, which I just realized, but it doesn't matter. Either way. Let us enter the battle phase. So, ye olden battle phase. What attack is this? This is 0 attack points. Now, we shall attack into the False Angel. And so I'll use my Gearfried's effect to steal... No. The Hound. And now the Hound is on my side of the field, and I shall lay down this Tindangle intruder and send it right back to the grave where it belongs. Granted, they'll get another card, but at this point it doesn't matter to me. Not especially. I can't just... Alright. You know what? Why not? You can have your dog back. I don't need it. There we go. That'll stop that. And with that, I believe that will do for the end of our turn. Oh. Interesting. Oh, is it that trap you're going to try and play now? Yes, indeed. We can summon back 3 of his flip monsters, indeed. I will say my opponent is taking... compared to the last 2 opponents, this one's quite good. This one is quite the good opponent. Quite the fascinating duel, I must say. Well, I haven't yet got to summon out one of my other big warrior monsters, more in line with the cards I had back in the Curry Kingdom. I will say, this Gearfried monster, he's quite good. Quite good indeed. Quite good. Alright, so my opponent is getting 3 monsters back. He seems to be rather enamored with the Hound, which makes sense. I mean, the thing does have the ability to become stronger than my monsters. Let's see. And then this intruder will continuously return to the board. This is quite the conundrum. Oh no. Oh. He can only use one of these per turn, can't he? Yes, indeed. He has 2 copies of the same card. Unlike whatever we have. He can only use one of them regardless, so it's rather irrelevant. So yes, the Tindangle Hound will once again be flipping itself face up. I should stop that. Yes. I will have to stop that, as much as I'd rather just leave it alone. I'm just going to have to stop it. There's going to be no time for the Tindangle Hound. I can't afford him summoning something bigger than me. That's just not how it's going to work. Alright. So the question is, now what? I assume you want it... Oh. Oh, you're flipping my monster. Oh. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I thought you would have flipped my monster, but okay. Or you would have flipped yourself, but I guess you're just going to do that yourself. Very well. So now my opponent will do his Tindangle cards once more. You know, for all the times this has been flipped face up, you'd think my opponent would have, I don't know, actually accomplished something at this point. And no offense. It's just, so far, they keep flipping these monsters and things keep happening. But nothing has actually occurred to my opponent. Alright. And then this creature will send a spell trap from deck to the grave. Interesting. What does this do? Tindangle monsters cannot be destroyed by battle or by card of... What? Pardon? Oh, you can just search another card. Oh my... That's... I mean, thankfully I have Phoenix Gearfried. But that can simply equip these monsters, but that's not a good... That doesn't bode well. Not at all. My whole strategy is about attacking. So if they can stop themselves from being destroyed, that's not necessarily good. Not necessarily good at all. Very well. Regrettably, he's going to defeat Dragonox. I was hoping to use Dragonox turn after turn to keep reviving Spell Striker. That was the plan, after all. That was mine hope. But perhaps summoning out Bradamante would have been the smarter move there. Suppose, yes, that would have made more sense if I'd remembered that last line there. It was obscured, I tell you. There was a smudge on the card. There was a smudge. I couldn't read it. Regardless, so now my opponent will attack. Destroy my two monsters, regrettably. Regrettably. Dragonox, you put in the effort, sir. Good job. Oh? You're choosing not to strike down Spell Striker. That might come back to haunt you. Quite possibly, indeed. Alright. So now the good question is, what will you do now? True, I cannot defeat your monsters in battle, but I can equip them onto my monster as often as I please. I don't think you have another one of that Underworld Goddess, or at least I hope you don't. So what is the plan here? You do still have this trap as well. Just do that over and over again. Nightmare Yugioh. Well, that's not good. That's not good at all. That is very bad. Well, confound it. I was expecting to be destroyed, but instead I was simply targeted by this nightmarish unicorn creature. Quite a low blow, I must say. But with that, that might be the death of me. Unless I can draw something very good. That might be good next turn. We'll see, we'll see. But for now, let's go ahead. You know what? Spell Striker, you will carry the torch. My opponents can do whatever they please. However, you will not be laid down low so easily. And I wish I had the other monster that can make you indestructible. That's fine. I'll attack with my monster regardless. If you think relieving me of the Phoenix Gearfried will stop me, you are quite mistaken. I shall simply strike you down from here. Very good. Very good indeed. Now what are you going to do? Oh yeah, flip your monster up, of course. Of course. Well, I will hand it to my opponent. They had quite the good setup there. It did take them forever to get this spell, which I feel if this had come out earlier would have made this duel a much more difficult affair. I think it's starting to roll. It's starting to slow down here. My opponent must be running out of cards at this point. At least I would assume he was running out of cards. He's used up most of them. Also, he hasn't searched off of this, so I'm going to assume my opponent is almost out of cards. So if I can survive... Well, I don't think I'm going to survive this turn. I don't have enough life points, regrettably. And regrettably, I don't have the one member of the Infernobles that stops destruction by battle. If I did, things would be a little different here. My opponent would have to try very hard to get rid of Spell Striker at that point. But unfortunately, it looks like the end of the duel. But it's fine. That was quite the good duel. Quite the good back and forth, especially compared to the first two duels. So, long as that duel was, we'll have to call this for the end of the day. I would go for a fourth, but I think that will do. Well, my lords and ladies, our Warriors Highlander went 2-1. It was a bit of an odd day. My first opponent's not quite competent. My last opponent, quite the good show. We got to show off a lot of what this deck is about. It is, as I said, in the style of the Curry Kingdom. Keeping things short and sweet and to the point. We don't need to spend all day stopping my opponent from playing or setting up enough negations so that my opponents cannot play at all. No, that is not the point of this deck. The point of this deck is to summon forth our mighty warriors and strike them down with our swords. That's all we really need to do. So we were able to do a good amount of what this deck is attempting to do. Very regrettably, we only got to summon out one of our three major boss monsters, but sometimes that's what happens. You know, in a Highlander deck especially, that is what happens on occasion. You know, not every day can be Chaos Necromancer. That is just how it is. But regardless, I hope thou did enjoy today's duels. If you did, do not forget to smash all of the buttons below, the like and the comment and the subscription button. Well, it is very important for the morale of the Curry Kingdom and for promoting God and country. Don't forget, if you just hit them all. Just hit them all right now. Okay, it's not that difficult. Look, I clicked the button several times. It's very easy to do. So that was for today, everyone. Tomorrow will be the 20th day of the 100 days of Yu-Gi-Oh! And we have ourselves another Highlander build around... What is the purpose of this deck? Oh, this thing. What on earth is that? I don't like the look of it. But regardless, that is going to be tomorrow's deck. Until next time, my lords and ladies, this will be your humble knight errant, Sir Memphis, bidding thee fare thee well until the morrow. Hey everybody, future editing Memphis here. Sir Memphis decided to run off again without putting in the deck list. Really, he has to stop doing this. But here's the deck list for everybody. Just take it out, have a good time with it. So, for our deck, everything's at 1, of course. We have things like Immortal Feeding Skearfried, Tyler the Great Warrior, Guilford the Legend, Dodo Buster, Heroic Challenger Assault Halberd, Zubaba Bancho, Gaga Gardner, Infernoble Ogier, a Utopic Onomatopoeia, Dragodes, we have Dragonox, we have Heroic Challenger Morningstar, we have Malgus of the Infernobles, we have Turpin Infernoble, we have very funny little card, a Colonel on the C String, we have Goblinberg, Heroic Challenger 1000 Bread, one Oliver, we have one Doggy Diver, of course, one Heroic Challenger of the Extra Sword, one copy of the Almighty Spell Striker, we have Infernoble Roland and Courageous Crimson Chevalier, we have Onomatopoeia, we have Heroic Call, Reinforcement of Arms, Heroic Envoy, Heritage of the Chalice, Heroic Chance, Terraforming, Double or Nothing, the Noble Arms Destiny, Phoenix Gear Blade, Infernoble Durandal, Noble Arms Clarence, the Lightning Blade, Magnum Shield, we have Empowerment, Armory Call, and the Horn of Oliphant. Guy couldn't have sprung for one copy of Foolish Burial. Probably would have saved him that last duel. But anyway, for the extra deck with things like Infernoble Charles, Roland, we have Oliver and Angelica. We have things like Utopia the Lightning, the original Utopia, Heroic Champion Claire Valish. We have one Twins of the Eclipse, Comics Hero Arthur, Gondiva, Zubaba General. We have Utopia Double, Utopia Rising, Flame Tongue, the Magical Blade Knight guy, and Emperor Charlie the Great. Side deck techs are weird things that Sir Memphis thought were going to be any. I mean, those of you who are playing some normal warrior monsters, you could throw in like Terra Tiger, it's searchable and all that good stuff. The Creator Incarnate is in fact a warrior, and I suppose the Creator does allow you to revive stuff, so that's an option too. So yeah, just basic, warrior techs and things. Very simple things. So that's the whole deck, everybody. Hope you had a good day.